Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Find the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Welcome to it. Fridays here at Hail Varsity Radio. We're presented by Currency for all your equipment financing needs. Go Currency. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal. Hope you're doing all right. We're not going to hammer on you for procrastinating holiday shopping, but all I'm letting you know is the scroll across the live stream is a way to say hi to that Husker fan, right? The HailVarsity.com and magazine combo. GBR is the code to save $10, but that's it for me pitching right now. We'll get into some football. Busy weekend.
Well, you said it's good for the special Husker fan in your life. I'd like to also add, could be used for that favorite Iowa fan in your life, and you can rub it in now. You won the football game. Now we're going to send you a Hail Varsity magazine every single week.
So you know what I'm going to do? So what would be kind of cool is to just jump online right now, HailVarsity.com/subscribe, and you telling me I need to get Iowa Russ taken care of.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And the thing is you don't even have to say it's from you. You can
he'll know.
They can just know in January that first magazine comes, they're going to go, what the hell? Why am I getting this Nebraska magazine?
See
and
the
they
cover
get
Russ?
10.
That's Matt Rule, right? The new issue's out, so pick that up. But good to be with you. Can watch this show, Hail Varsity, on YouTube. The stream is there to watch the show. And, of course, the Twitter handles ESPN Lincoln at HVarsity Radio. For Hail Varsity Radio, give that a follow. Also catch Coffee and Cream with Damon and Andrew every morning, 7 to 9. That is where you can watch the show as well as hear it on ESPN Lincoln and ESPN Lincoln Facebook. Numbers to dial up, 466-3776, 466-3776, 800-825-5865. To get involved with the show, can also email Chris at HailVarsity.com and give us a follow on Twitter at Schmidt_radio. Chris Schmidt, that's me, or Elijah Herbal at Herbal Essence is where you find him. Kind of a newsy Friday when you look at one coach that will not be back officially. That was reported about an hour ago by the Omaha World Herald, and another coach that is off to Nebraska, and that is Philip Simpson, the high school coach at Homestead, supposed to be in town tomorrow as part of the defensive line staff. So we'll get there. 13 visitors this weekend, starting yesterday through Sunday. So that's important. Nebraska basketball, chance to rinse and then get after it tomorrow in Kansas City. Is it the Sprint Center? Is it got a new name? I don't know. It's been 100 years since I've been on there. But Nebraska, a chance to take down a Power 5 team in Kansas State. A good commit earlier today with Alvano from Westside, incredible kicker for the Big Red. And some really good stories with the traits of some of Rule's best teams. That's Sam McEwen special, and Mitch Sherman also a nice write-up. Brady Altmans has been fantastic with Hail Varsity all week and quite frankly all year. We'll talk to Brady in hour two. Jacob Badilla, no one better in basketball coverage and volleyball coverage, of course. Jacob with Hail Varsity. He joins us in about 20 minutes. Jacob jacked his hand.
He's on the mend.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, that's problematic because that dude can wail away on the computer. But I assume there's a program out there that has voice type. Yeah?
I'd assume. Or this might just be like one of those chicken pecking things with one index finger.
You like we all typed before we took typing 101?
I shouldn't say we all. Maybe I'm just part of the younger generation.
Okay, well.
Maybe typing was just born and bred into me.
Okay, well, good. I remember taking it in 8th grade. Solid B+.
That's crazy. We took it in first grade was when we had typing class.
Jeez.
That's whenever we started out. We had computer class.
There is the age gap, old guy, young guy. And so Jacob will be with us. I'm going to ask him if we can sign his cast. I don't know if he's going to hit me with it next time I see him or not. But Jacob Padilla with us here to get things going here in about a half hour. So news on Mickey Joseph and the former, we can say that now, former Nebraska assistant and interim, initially on administrative leave after his arrest on the 30th of November. And you have a official separation date by Nebraska with Mickey on the 6th of December. Mickey Joseph confirming to the World Herald that Joseph no longer part of the Nebraska football program. That through a university spokesperson, and no comment if Nebraska will give him the remainder of his salary. That's 2 years at $600,000 per. That's, my math says, $1.2 million. There was interest. It's being reported that Rule had high interest in retaining Mickey at a salary higher than what he was getting at Nebraska, $600,000, and then the stipend for the interim gig, the extra $33,000. That was all, of course, before the arrest. And Joseph facing felony count of assault by strangulation, also denied striking the victim. And you have a hearing set for late January, and you can obviously be terminated for a breach of contract when you break the law, especially if it's a felony. Sounds like Mickey's attorney is going to try and get those charges dropped down below the felony, but who knows if there'll still be jail time. I'm not a practicing attorney. So there's that. Interesting here with Philip Simpson, the assistant D-line coach. He's a former head coach here at Homestead High School, really built that program, got Homestead to the 3A championship against St. Thomas Aquinas. Some of like the marquee names in the state of Florida, right? You have Miami Northwest, that's where Levante went. You have St. Thomas Aquinas. You have a number of high-level Broward County programs, and Homestead was a program that got built up. With Simpson, he's a former player for Rule, played defensive line for Rule at Temple, and it's really fascinating to see where Nebraska wants to go. And when you come in as a coach to a program in a state that has, we'll say, limited resources, you have fantastic resources with the in-state players. Okay, you've got really good football in Lincoln. You've got incredible football in Omaha. You have tremendous football in some of smaller communities as you scan and span the state. There's a player, I would venture to say, in every county for you, okay, all 93 of them. And it's Nebraska's job to try and keep them all either as a walk-on, which is harder and harder to do in today's day and age of college football. But I think Coach Rule's going to try. I think Coach Rule's done a really solid job of making the rounds and continuing to make the rounds. He'll really hit it after spring because Matt Rule's a fantastic relationship guy by all accounts. And he'll no doubt go do that in the state of Nebraska, and he'll probably do it in some surrounding states. Get connected with the right folks in South Dakota, in Iowa, in Kansas, the Kansas City region. Get out there into Colorado, which will be even more difficult with Coach Prime there. But that 500-mile radius has always been monster for Nebraska, and find a way in, get a foothold in Missouri. Nebraska's had so much talent come from the Show Me State. It'd be nice to get back there again. And when it comes to recruiting and the assistants you hire, Nebraska, Elijah, I think, is pretty well fanned out in a great way with who they brought in staff-wise, where these guys' connections are at, their age range. And then you look at Philip Simpson, and he's a guy that's recently been a peer of some of the best high school football in the country because he's been coaching against it, and he built a team that went and played for a state championship. So you've got your recruiting ties to Florida. You've got more than enough reinforcements to go make a dent again in Texas if you're Nebraska, and then hit the in-state and 500-mile radius clearly. And that's a solid plan. And you've got people to do it, where you're bringing people with either or maybe you don't know. Look at Coach White, never coached together. Obviously, there's connection with the UCLA tie, but you're taking the best from each to build a solid pool of options if you're Nebraska, not to just cast the old fishing line out there to see if you strike it rich and get a monster Ndamukong Suh type whale. That'd be really cool if you're a Nebraska fan. But for the most part, does this kid fit? Is he a freak athlete? That seems to be the MO for what type of player Nebraska wants to recruit. Not only just on the lines, are you athletic? Are you tough? Are you physical? But when it comes to the skill guys, they're all, it looks like, just speed demons and are pretty tough kids. So I like how this is shaping up with the people that have been brought in for Nebraska, and then the obvious ties to some of the regions they have to help bring in talent, but at a priority, keep the in-state talent here.
And what I like about Simpson in this role, and that's where we kind of started this conversation off, so I want to get back to him really quick, is sure, he's good on the field. He did a great job turning around the Homestead football program. This last night actually was their first time making it to a state title game in 43 years as a high school. They've always had some issues with fielding competitive football teams, and turned around, took them to a state title game. They dropped it to a national powerhouse, St. Thomas Aquinas, but led them there and just did a phenomenal job turning around the program. It was a team that was sitting around 500 in the years before Simpson took over in 2019. Their first year, he went 2-8, and then 3-3 the year after that, the COVID shortened season. And he said those first 2 years were not about victories on the field. They were about victories off the field, winning in the classroom, and getting rid of team cancers. He said the more I dug in, the more bloodshed in terms of players and coaches dismissed from the program. But the only way to find the cure was to get to the root of the problem, which was, as he said, guys within the team that we're not all fully bought in. We're not fully bought in. We're not all about winning on and off the field. So that was his first step, and he went and turned it around that way. And he's stepping into a role I think he fits very well with Nebraska, where he's going to be assistant D-line coach. I have a feeling that his roles are going to be, you hear about the coaches that are going and checking in classrooms, making sure all the players are there, going down to the bars and making sure there aren't players in the bars on weeknights before practice. That kind of coach, it seems like to me, in that role, as well as a recruiter. And you wonder about the connection. He played under Matt Rule. He was a Temple defensive lineman whenever Matt Rule was a defensive line coach. And Matt Rule actually was a guy who turned him into a defensive lineman. He came into college as a quarterback.
And a punter.
Quarterback and a punter.
Hey, you're kind of a crazy dude that throws it. Why don't we put on about 100 pounds and go get the opposing quarterback?
Well, you want to find a guy that understands how to go find, not your conventional talent, some diamond in the rough type guys. That's what he was. Matt Rule is a guy who went down to Florida and found a quarterback, first team all conference, and said, you know what, I think you are a defensive lineman. We're going to turn you into a defensive lineman. And Simpson's a guy who went through that whole process of going from a diamond in the rough to a diamond. He did it under Matt Rule. Now he gets reunited with Matt Rule, and they get to kind of work on that type of thing together. So that's what I'm really excited for with Simpson. Not only what he does off the field, the type of person he is to build football programs, but also he's been there and done that in terms of being a guy who's a diamond in the rough, and he knows what it takes to turn that diamond into something special.
Well, it takes pressure, right, to form diamonds, and that will be no doubt imparted on those that stay and those that come to Nebraska. It's going to be Camp Easy Street, but I do believe in what type of fundamentals Coach will be preaching along with his assistants, and above all, practicing and getting good at your craft and finding a way to be a difference maker there. A nice sit down with Mitch Sherman as he runs down the blueprint explained with what's an ideal person. And it's been underlined and circled this week. The ideal person may not be on a recruiting chart with a 4 or 5 star next to his name. Could be, real easily could be, but it might be a 1 or a 2 star dude, or even that 3 star that, all right, what do you project him as? What can you make him into? And can you win that way? And it's pretty interesting here with Baylor, where they were ranked at the beginning of the recruiting cycle. Here's what your class finished with. Okay, But as you reevaluate the recruiting rankings, how did if you reclassify the recruiting rankings, and the Athletic does that a lot, you're plus 20. You may be ranked 40th, and the class at the end of the time these kids attend and they go play and win, oh, that dude got drafted. That guy got drafted. You jump 20 spots or so into a top 20 class. You turned the number 45 class into a 22nd ranked class, and you won some ball games, and you competed for a Big 12 title at the time. So I think that's a lot like old school Nebraska, where some of the classes were typically top 20 or in that 25th ranking, but by the end of the day, it was a 10-win football team, probably a conference champion, and a squad that no doubt went down to an Orange Bowl. So we'll spend some time, get Jacob Padilla's thoughts on recruiting, but more so his take on Husker basketball. Big weekend against Kansas State. Also a prep preview from Jacob, the weekend of hoops in the Nebraska State. Hail Varsity continues, presented by Currency.
If you're not already a Hail Varsity subscriber, what are you waiting for? Sign up for a Hail Varsity subscription to receive exclusive breaking news coverage of Nebraska football, volleyball, and more. Subscriptions include 10 print issues of the Hail Varsity magazine per year, the annual Hail Varsity football yearbook, plus complete access to everything on hailvarsity.com. Visit hailvarsity.com to sign up today and get your first month free.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The holidays are here, and it's time to celebrate at Hail Varsity Club. Whether you're looking for an intimate business lunch or a 100-person holiday party, Hail Varsity Club offers an elevated experience with food and drink packages sure to please any crowd. There are only a few premium dates left in December. Visit hailvarsityclub.com to learn more about the private events and book yours now.
If you're not already a Hail Varsity subscriber, what are you waiting for? Sign up for a Hail Varsity subscription to receive exclusive breaking news coverage of Nebraska football, volleyball, and more. Subscriptions include 10 print issues of the Hail Varsity magazine per year, the annual Hail Varsity football yearbook, plus complete access to everything on hailvarsity.com. Visit hailvarsity.com to sign up today and get your first month free.
Running on empty? Don't let aging drain your body. Limitless Male can help you recharge safely under medical care. As you age, your body produces less testosterone, which can cause one or more symptoms: trouble sleeping, no energy, loss of muscle mass, poor concentration, belly fat, low sex drive, depression. Limitless Male can eliminate these symptoms with testosterone replacement therapy and re-energize your life. Schedule a free consult at limitlessmale.com.
Why, yes, another morning and another day of Jet Splash's jaw-dropping holiday sale. Reginald.
Yes?
To Jet Splash we go. Marmaduke, Rutherford.
Yes?
To the car wash. Let us save $10 on a 5-pack of washes or $73 on a 22-pack.
And get the best deals of the year on annual memberships too.
That's right, Frederick. Nutcrackers unite!
Yes, yes.
Off the mantle and to Jet Splash Car Wash we go!
Shop online too.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for spending time. Hail Varsity Radio, presented by Currency. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal, Jacob Padilla with us here to talk some prep hoops and, of course, Nebraska basketball. Maybe even get a take on recruiting from him as far as the philosophy goes at Jacob Padilla _. Jacob, hold up the cast. We are streaming on TV. There it is. And my friend, they'll take this the wrong way, but Elijah and I want to sign it. Can we do that sometime?
Well, I guess so. I'm going back in to get it checked.
Leave me alone.
Yeah. Going back in on Monday to get kind of the follow-up check in, and then a couple weeks, I think, before I have to go back in after that, assuming all is well. So we'll see. It's kind of it's more of a splint right now, soft cast deal that figure out what they're going to do beyond that. Doesn't sound like I'll need surgery now, but that's the upside.
That's the good news. And I will say, if you don't give us the chance to sign the cast, I will take the leftover pain pills as a consolation prize. So let me know how that is.
I actually have been in a lot of pain. They were surprised by how little I was in, actually. It's kind of weird, but just ibuprofen for me.
Look at him. Tough dude. I love it. So to further this urban legend, were you slapping the top of the backboard to alter a shot, or were you hanging on the rim after posterizing someone?
I wish that were the case. Unfortunately, it was on defense, playing with a friend who is about 6'9", and I was just kind of doubling over and trying to recover to him, catching the ball underneath the basket, and just caught my hand on his arm and heard a loud crack. Oh. And at first, I didn't realize, I didn't know I'd broken anything because my pinky was moving fine because that's what caught. But I played a few more possessions and realized, no, there's something wrong here. So that was it.
Yeah, with the finger injuries, I swear there's always the delayed pain where you don't quite realize what has happened. Because I still have a bent pinky from my high school football days, and I didn't realize right away what had happened. And I looked down and go, oh, my pinky is moving the other direction. Then
I opened a beer wrong one time, and that's how I hurt myself. But Jacob, big opportunity for Nebraska. I know you caught up with Fred and the Husker squad this morning. Let's just take a quick look back to Purdue and now fast forward through the week that's been finals and recovery. You go from 3 games, a big-time stretch of Creighton and Indiana, and then Purdue and K-State. I mean, this is Nebraska basketball fans are flocking to the bandwagon just because of how this team is. And as you assess where they're at early in this season, what are your takeaways, not only from the Purdue effort, the energy, but also as they try and get back on track tomorrow?
Yeah, kind of my takeaway so far is with Derek Walker and Sam Griesel both in the lineup, it looks like they are kind of closer to the top end of what I thought this team could be if things fell into place. Where the defensive effort, the increased focus on that end, the scrappiness, that's all there. They've got 2 guys that are kind of doing everything for them in Derek Walker and Sam Griesel, and then everybody's kind of playing off that. They're giving themselves chances to stick in games with defensive effort, playing hard, not giving up, all those sorts of things. The big question was the offense and who was going to be able to consistently create efficient scoring chances for themselves and others. And again, they scored 62 points in an overtime game. They held Purdue to its worst offensive game of the season. It was the number 1 team in adjusted offensive efficiency going into that game, according to KenPom. And Nebraska held them 65 points, but that wasn't enough to get a win because they could not get the buckets down the stretch. They had that possession where he had 6 chances to take the lead on one trip down the floor and couldn't make any of the shots. And then in overtime, you're going back and forth for a while there, but then in the last minute, Nebraska just kind of ran out of gas and forced up a couple of tough shots and couldn't get that last big bucket to go down. So right now, I think this team is about on track for what I thought it could be. And now the question is, are they going to be able to get over the hump in conference play against some of these teams that they're going to face? Are they going to be able to make those plays down the stretch to take advantage of the fact that they're giving themselves a chance to stay in these games?
Well, Jacob, you mentioned the Purdue game, and the shooting was a little bit disappointing, but I don't think any Husker fans are disappointed in the performance as a whole. When you look back at the last 3, I think the one game you might be a little bit disappointed is Indiana, but there are a couple of factors there where, the shots weren't falling early against Indiana. Indiana got a little bit of a rhythm on their home floor, and they got some momentum going, and Nebraska wasn't able to play with Sam Griesel in that game due to illness. When you look at those 3 factors, what do you think the biggest factor from a disappointing performance against Indiana was? And how is Nebraska going to be able to circumvent that in the future?
Yeah, I almost don't even really consider that too much because of Griesel being out. And that's where they're at with this roster is they just don't have any margin for error. They have to have all their pieces. They have to have multiple guys kind of playing well in a given game in order to win a game like that or even to stay in a game like that. And really, it was the Griesel absence. They fell behind 20-15 out of the gates early, or 20-5 rather, early in the game. And then for the most part, they kind of played them even the rest of the game, but that was just too big of a hole to dig themselves out of. They got it down to 7 a couple of times, which again shows that fight that I think that Fred Hoiberg is happy about. But you just can't dig yourself that much of a hole. And I think a lot of that was adjusting to not having their point guard because they're just so limited in terms of ball handling. And you take their best ball handler, their best creator out of that. Now everybody's forced into to step up a role, and they weren't great in their roles initially to begin with. So you put even more pressure on them, then that weakness gets exploited even more. So I don't even basically at this point, I'm only really looking at the games where Walker, Griesel were both active. You got everybody around them in terms of what this team really is. The early non-conference games, they happen, but I mean, I'm not looking back that far. Even that first Memphis game where Walker had the 9 turnovers, that was just a lot of rust, a lot of not playing, guys getting used to him again. I'm really only looking at those the 3-game winning streak and then that Purdue game right now. It's about 4 games of what this team is supposed to look like, and that's kind of what I'm basing it off of. That being said, there was a lack of defensive execution in that Indiana game compared to the Purdue and Creighton games, where it was a very similar game plan in all 3. And I think as a team, they just executed that game plan much better against both Creighton and Purdue. And then also guys missed shots that Indiana players hit.
Jacob Padilla is with us, Husker Basketball Thoughts at Jacob Padilla _ catch him with HailVarsity.com magazine and, of course, 2 different podcasts on the Hurrdat Network. Jacob does a great job with the basketball beat breakdown. So Nebraska's effort and keys are what tomorrow? Tell us a little bit about K-State.
The number 1 key on Creighton's end of the floor is taking care of the ball. Kansas State is 9th in the country in forcing turnovers, opponent turnover rate. And they do it a little differently. They're not quite like St. John's where it's just chaos and extreme ball pressure and all that. The key is they 4th in the country in non-steal turnover percentage. So they just force you to give the ball away. They force you into travels, into moving screens, into throwing the ball out of bounds. They just make you execute at a really high level, and it's tough to do with the way they defend. Jerome Tang coming over from Scott Drew's staff over there at Baylor. He's kind of brought that game plan with him to Kansas State, and they're off to a great start to the season. And then on the defensive end of the ball, of the floor, it's Keontae Johnson and it's Marquise Noel. Point guard, Noel is 4th in the country, I believe, in assists at 8.2 a game, scoring 14 points a game as well. So he's a dynamic playmaker that gets everybody else involved. And then Keontae Johnson, the Florida transfer who took a look at Nebraska before landing at Kansas State once he decided that he wanted to resume his career following the heart issues that ended his Florida career prematurely. And he's been back out there. He's been healthy. He started 10 games, playing 31 minutes a game. He's putting up 17 points and 6.5 boards a game on nearly 60% from the field, including 50 from the line or from 3-point line. So right, that's kind of where it starts. You got to take care of the ball on offense to give yourself a chance. And then defensively, you got to find a way to match up with Noel and Keontae Johnson and limit their damage.
Jacob, about 3 minutes, and then I'm going to keep you for a couple of minutes on the other side for a high school preview this weekend. But overall, let's zoom out. K-State, Big Ten schedule. Nebraska needs how many wins for postseason? And do you think this team's good enough if they keep getting better and stay healthy? Could they look at the NIT? And I know the NCAA tournament's where you want to go, but NIT doesn't seem right now that's out of the realm of possibility when we've seen Nebraska so far at their best, or at least they've got a puncher's chance right now looking at them. Am I crazy to think that?
Yeah, I mean, if they can continue this kind of upward trajectory, looking at KenPom right now, they project Nebraska to finish 14-17. And I mean, they've played half their games without both of their two best players. So I think they're you look at just the games since Walker's been back, like looking at Bart Torvik, where you can kind of pick a start date. They're like top 60 in his rankings since Walker's been back. So they're kind of inching forward. They're going to have to win some of these games. They're going to have to pull some upsets, but they've got a chance to. Again, I don't know. I haven't settled on what I think a good win total would be for them to target, what it would take to get to the postseason. Because, again, it's only been 4 games where we've gotten to see what this team is really supposed to look like. So I need to see a few more games into the Big Ten before I get a real feel for what kind of season this team is going to be able to have. But it certainly looks like that's something that isn't entirely off the table at this point, which you can't have said in previous years. Like, they don't have a bye game loss. They don't have games where they've just gotten completely embarrassed for the most part so far this season. They've been pretty scrappy. And again, played half the season without one of their best players. So ask me again in a week or two, then I'll have a better answer for you. But that is something that I think is within the realm of possibility, some kind of postseason, whether one of those smaller tournaments, NIT. But you got to start with getting out of the Big Ten cellar, and it looks like they'll have a chance to do that this year based on how Minnesota and Northwestern look in particular.
Jacob, last thought this segment, about 15 seconds. You mentioned they need to start stacking some wins together. Do you like their chances against Kansas State tomorrow?
Again, it's a tough matchup, but it is a team that I don't think outclasses Nebraska in talent overall. It's a game that I think they'll be able to hang in and give themselves a chance to win. Question is, can they make those plays down the stretch?
Couple more minutes with Jacob Padilla. We'll hit the prep weekend schedule. Find him, follow him on Twitter at Jacob Padilla _. And Jacob playing hurt, but he is manning up. Love it. That we didn't do that, I promise. Jacob is coming on back with us at Hail Varsity, presented by Currency.
From the 1011 newsroom, the latest in a head-on crash this morning northeast of Lincoln. A driver was in the wrong lane and crashed into an oncoming semi-truck and died at the scene. Plus, the suspect accused of kidnapping a still-missing Omaha woman is back in Nebraska and in the Douglas County Jail after an international manhunt. These stories and more coming up tonight on 1011 Now.
Yo, Pablo Torre here, host of the ESPN Daily Podcast. When you want to go beyond your feed, when you want to get inside the score, when you want to get behind the highlight, there's ESPN Daily. Go deeper into the stories of the moment. Get the exclusive access and insider perspective that only ESPN can give you. ESPN Daily, hosted by me, Pablo Torre. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-494-6139. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-494-6139.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak to one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Ah, yes, Christmas time. Sleigh bells are ringing. Me, Cornelius, and the other nutcrackers are set up firmly on the mantle. And all over Lincoln, folks are saving a stocking full of cash on car wash memberships and bundle packs from Jet Splash Car Wash.
Is that right?
Yes, Cornelius. You could save up to $20 on 3-month memberships, $50 on 6 months, and $120 on annual memberships.
Wow.
By Cornelius, it is jaw-dropping. Shop online at jetsplash.com.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, it's Hail Varsity, presented by Currency. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal, Jacob Padilla, and we'll get you the rundown here shortly of Nebraska's visitors this weekend for Coach Rhule. Nebraska, big recruiting weekend, early signing day coming up here on Wednesday. Jacob, the weekend of prep hoops action, what's piqued your interest? Who are some of the matchups you're watching?
Yeah, it's an interesting week. It's almost too bad I'm going down to Kansas City for the Nebraska game because there's some good matchups on Saturday. Lincoln East coming off that loss to Lincoln High last night. I was at that game that went down to the wire. They're going to Creighton Prep for Christmas in the Cage on Saturday. So that place will be, that place will be a little extra fired up for that one. And East coming off of a loss where they shot 2 for 20 from 3, which is definitely not characteristic of them. You know, they'll be looking to get back on track. So that's got a chance to be a pretty good one. Lincoln Southeast at Gretna, another chance for Southeast, who's only 2-2. But they've faced a tough schedule so far. The losses have been to East and to Millard North. So they'll have a crack at Gretna, who's ranked number 2 right now, one of only 3 unbeaten teams left. And Lincoln Northeast, who I believe that you're going to get to see against Bellevue West. They took Gretna to overtime. Yeah, they took Gretna to overtime week 1 and fell in that one. That's their only loss so far this season. So definitely some good matchups so far this weekend.
Jacob, as it stands right now, can you give me a team to beat in Lincoln and a team to beat in the Omaha Metro in high school basketball? And obviously, we're so far from March that I'm sure a lot can change between now and then as people, are getting from football into the basketball flow and recovering from some injuries during football season, I'm sure as well. So I'm sure this can change, but as it stands right now, can you give me a team to beat?
Jacob Padilla power ranking.
Sure.
I think it's Bellevue West number 1 with the bullet right now. I think they're kind of clear top tier themselves. And then everybody else is kind of chasing beyond that. Gretna and Millard North are the only other two unbeaten teams at this point. And both those teams have kind of scraped by in some games recently. Bellevue West is a team with Josiah Dotzler, who committed to Creighton. He's a difference maker. And they've got a really good supporting cast around him. They've got size inside. Jacob Arope is back after missing the first handful of games for them. They're kind of easing him back into the lineup after some injury issues there. They got Robbie Garcia as a sophomore, big guy inside, so they kind of got some multiple pieces there in the front court, and then got shooters, slashers around Dotzler. So Bellevue West, like I said, Schmidt will get a look at them. They're definitely number 1 right now until proven otherwise. In Lincoln, at this point, I have no idea. No, everybody's lost at least once. I think Southeast was the team that most were highest on going in the season, and they've lost twice already, including to Lincoln East. And Lincoln East didn't have last year's leading scorer in Carter Templemeyer in that game. So that's kind of like, oh, what's going on there? Southeast has the pieces, I think, to kind of round back into form, but they definitely have some ground to make up. And I still like Lincoln Southwest, just in terms of they have length that really nobody else can match. Just going across the board there outside of Ryland Smith, it's all super long. It's 6'6" across the board, basically, outside of the point guard position. So they can switch everything. They got a lot of length. If they can get a little bit more consistency outside of players not named Chuck Love, Southwest has a chance to kind of emerge from that pack. But right now, it's anybody's. It's kind of the race is wide open down in Lincoln. And I kind of wrote about that a little bit at the end of my kind of recap from that Lincoln East, Lincoln High game.
Yeah, Jacob, I got a chance to see that Bellevue West team last week, and they were really impressive. But there are still some holes in that roster, and it almost feels like a year where anyone can beat anyone. Like if Bellevue West has a night where Josiah Dotzler's a little bit off, they seem to me to be a little bit beatable. And I just don't see a clear-cut number one team in the state right now in terms of expect them to lose only 2 or 3 games this year. I think anyone can really beat anyone this year in terms of that upper echelon of high school basketball talent.
Yeah, the top end, we don't have a bunch of multiple teams with multiple Division I players this year. Like we've seen the last few years where Millard North, they've been loaded. Bellevue West, they've been loaded. You've got a team like Creighton Prep that was senior heavy, but also had some underclass talent as well that kind of go with that a few years ago when they had that epic semifinal with Bellevue West. So I think the talent just isn't as deep in terms of surefire Division I upperclassmen at this point. So that's where it does kind of open the door to more teams being in the mix. And it should make for an interesting kind of race to March here for sure.
Millard North saw them against Southeast. They were down 12 and just willed their way back in. Both teams had tough offensive nights in the second half, but Millard North survived to overtime and then kind of flipped a switch and found a way. So they have my tip of the cap with what they did. And I think Southeast will settle down with their turnovers. They've got some big time talent. Jacob, just about a minute here, but just overall your take with Matt Rule and Nebraska football, just his approach with how he's been everywhere. His staff has been everywhere. And just some of the recruiting ties they seem to have. And they're always, of course, prioritizing in-state. It looks like a pretty good recipe right now.
Yeah, it definitely seems like he's putting in as much effort as you possibly can at this point between the traveling, the getting others involved, the reaching out in person, over the phone, just kind of just doing everything he can at this point to like let people know, hey, I'm here, I'm at Nebraska. This is how we're going to get things done here, and we've got a place for players from your program. We've got a place for you to the players here that can come and help us get this thing turned around. And obviously they're going to go after some of the high end targets as well, but they're making some bets on like, hey, we can bring this kid in and develop them and turn them into the kind of players that he had at Temple and Baylor that led to his success. Guys like Jalen Lloyd, who's going to make a decision coming up here on Saturday, got Nebraska into that mix, expanded his top 4 to a top 5, put Nebraska firmly in the mix there. So we'll see what his final decision is there. But I think they did a great job with the recruitment there. Obviously, Tristan Albano just committed today. That's a big get for them, and it's one where you came in and did a great job. Like he had some other options out there. He had some high level programs that maybe hadn't quite offered the full scholarship yet, but that were very interested. But Matt Rule and his staff did a great job realizing, all right, hey, this kid can help us, so let's go after him. Let's make him feel comfortable here. So I like the start that they're off to. We'll see kind of ultimately where they settle in terms of, all right, what can you get to supplement some of these developmental prospects? What can you do in the transfer portal to maybe make year one a little bit easier than we've seen in the past from Matt Rule rebuilds? But I definitely like what I've seen from them so far.
Jacob, stay healthy. Thanks for jumping on, doing a great segment, playing hurt, although you're just an ibuprofen man, Elijah. Remember that. And safe trip down to Kansas City, bud, and we'll look forward to your coverage of Nebraska K-State. Thank you for a few minutes.
All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
Yeah, there he is. Jacob Padilla with us. I'm glad it's just a soft cast for him.
For now.
Come on now, man. Jacob's like, well, yeah, I played a few more extra minutes, a few more possessions, and just rubbed some dirt on it.
It's the kind of guy he is.
He totally.
Team player, toughness, grit on the floor. That's Jacob Padilla. His basketball teams play with that mindset. He plays with that mindset, and he works rights for Hale Varsity with that mindset as well.
Big time. We will hit some of the recruits that are in town, give you the names and some of the ideas, who's Nebraska competing with. Bill Dolman in 15 minutes. Brady Oltmans, also from Hale Varsity, on the way. The votes are in, and now we know who's best of Lincoln. See for yourself at ESPNLincoln.com. Whatever you're looking for, Lincoln's best winery, best fitness center, best coffee shop, or best sports bar. We've got the winners in over 70 categories. Before you shop, eat, or call for service, check out the full list at ESPNLincoln.com. Who's the best car wash, the best appetizers, the best sandwich shop? Don't guess. Find out who's best at ESPNLincoln.com with the best of Lincoln.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands. At $90, get generic Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
As utility costs rise, now is the time to replace your old system. Call Wellman Heating and Air Conditioning to learn how an efficient Carrier home comfort system can save you money on utilities over the life of the equipment. And ask Wellman about Carrier equipment that can clean the air in your home. Don't hesitate. Supplies may be limited. Financing is available. Carrier offers and rebates will vary. See Wellman for details. Turn to the experts. Wellman Heating and Air, your factory authorized dealer for Carrier products at wellmanheating.com.
Lofi's Holiday Sweepstakes is back. The Bakers of Country Hearth would like to put a little more jingle in your holiday this season by giving you a chance to win one of two $500 prizes or the grand prize of $1,000. Winners will each receive a check that can be used for travel, gifts, or just celebrating with family and friends, whatever makes their holiday more jolly. For complete rules and to enter for your chance to win, visit countryhearthbreads.com/sweeps.
I'm weatherology meteorologist Ray Miller with your Capital City forecast. Cloudy tonight, 15 for the low temperature. Winds out of the northwest at 15 to 30 miles an hour. Saturday brings lots of sun, a high of 28 degrees with northwesterly winds at 10 to 20. That's the forecast on Lincoln's ESPN. Right now, it's 24.
Register to win a brand new 2022 Ford F-150 now at Menards. Sponsored by Hunter. See store for details. Save big money at Menards.
Chime in 402-466-ESPN or email the show, Chris@HailVarsity.com. Just try me. Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time this hour, Hail Varsity, presented by Currency for all your equipment financing needs. Go Currency. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal. In the green room, the Pride of Fairbury, Bill Dolman, joining us, NBC Sports, and the professor. So we'll talk to Billy D here in about 10 minutes. Make sure he does not wander off, Elijah. Get him refreshments if need be. That was very classy of you to ask for Jacob's would-be
pain pills.
Pain pills.
Hey, shoot your shot. Okay. Hey, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, Schmitty.
There you go.
Wayne Gretzky said that.
Sure.
Michael Jordan said that.
Michael Jordan, I'm sure, said that too. But Nebraska taking many shots here this weekend, 13 visitors. Portal guys, we've detailed Malik Hornsby quite a bit. His track athleticism, minimal snapshots at quarterback, but at least one start this season against Mississippi State. But a couple of guys to look at from Florida, from Gators. You need some coffee?
It's starting to set in on a Friday. Yeah, I'm ready for the weekend.
Corey Collier's a safety, 6'2", 170, super athletic, rangy, pretty physical. It's safety that Nebraska could add from the portal. And then you have Chief Borders. Whenever I hear Chief, I think that's just a great name because you have that one friend that maybe calls other people Chief. Anywho, this Chief is off the edge at 6'5", 240 pounds. and you love that frame, and got enough initial wow from high school to be a Gator. Another look here at running back Kyron Jones. This is interesting because, again, another track guy, another 10-6, 100 guy. And I think Coach Rule's trying to collect as many 10-something 100 guys for the Nebraska football roster. What's opened this door for Nebraska is Tim Beck. And Tim Beck has a history about recruiting pretty wild running backs, at least when he was at Nebraska. Him and Papuchis did wonders to get a guy named Burkhead. Tim Beck, later into the recruiting process, found a guy named Amir. So Tim Beck's got a pretty good eye for running back talent that's got good burst, athleticism, balance, can catch the football. Jones seems to fit that. The question is, will he flip from NC State? That's the question. You've lost Beck. You lost Mr. Garrison. Former Nebraska offensive lineman John Garrison, great O-line coach at NC State, hired away by Lane Kiffin a little more than a week ago. So does that open the door for Nebraska to get Jones?
Do we have confirmation that Eric Fields is going to be in town? I talked to you about him. He's a
linebacker at Ardmore, Oklahoma.
Yes, this guy is worlds of talent, super impressive, like the type of diamond in the rough type guy, not ranked in recruiting services. I believe he's currently in Arkansas State, soft commit.
Yeah, and
no Power 5 offers. This kid, I watched his film.
Two 5 offers. He had Okie State and Tech that's come in late on.
Okay,
him.
Tech's come in late. Okay, I look at this guy.
Point's well taken.
This guy is one of the most phenomenal looking athletes on high school tape that I've seen in a long time. I can't for the life of me understand why he isn't ranked by recruiting services. Runs a 10.8, 100 at a little over 200 pounds. Plays linebacker. Had 180 tackles his senior season, averaging 18 per game. The dude was all over the field.
That's Bill Dolman
impressive.
type numbers at Fairbury High.
And his dad, also a very good professional boxer that fought for a WBO belt.
Yeah, so the boxing background.
I love this kid. I hope he's a Husker. This is one of the guys that I've been more excited about than a lot of recruits in a long time.
Bill Dolman's up next.
Feeling down, a little bit out of energy? Hi there, it's Rob Kelly, the suit for ESPN Lincoln for Limitless Male. That was me about 2.5 years ago. I just did not have any spunk at all. Nothing going on, and I went in and found out that my testosterone levels had really dropped off. Within a few short weeks, they had me all fixed up at Limitless Male. They are the experts when it comes to hormone imbalance in men. That's right, it can happen to guys and your testosterone levels. They'll get your diagnosis, get you on the right track. I'll tell you, I feel like a new guy every single morning, full of energy, full of vigor, and you can be that same person. All you gotta do is go to limitlessmale.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems. Listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control of your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world. They can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problem now by calling the experts at U.S. Tax Shield and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guarantee quote to get protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, so call now. 800-687-5192. That's 800-687-5192. U.S. Tax Shield. 800-687-5192.
You know what? I'll get the bill.
Wow, are you sure?
Yep, your dinner is on me tonight, bestie.
Thank you. That is so sweet of you.
You know what else is sweet? My Members Own credit card rewards. Between the cash back, Amazon rewards, and no hidden fees, I feel like a kid in a candy store.
Hey, wait a minute. That's why you're buying dinner?
Maybe. Life is sweeter with a credit card from Members Own. Apply for your new card today at membersowncu.org. Limitations may apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
From the John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Studios, this is KLMS Lincoln, the capital city's Husker Authority.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson is out for Sunday's game against the Cardinals, even though he's now out of concussion protocol. Brett Rippon will start. Jets team doctors will not clear quarterback Mike White for Sunday's game against the Lions with fractured ribs. That means Zach Wilson gets the start after being inactive for 3 weeks. Bowl season underway today. Right now on ESPN in the Duluth Trading Cure Bowl. Early fourth quarter, Troy leads UT San Antonio 15-12. Earlier, the hometown Lenders Bahamas Bowl, UAB ball with less than 2 minutes to go.
They'll run with Jermaine Brown Jr. in the backfield. Dylan Hopkins is in the shotgun. 2 tight ends coming near side left. Hopkins hands off Brown. Brown's going to waltz into the end zone for the touchdown. Jermaine Brown Jr., the 12-yard run, his second of the game. UAB's back in front.
Kevin Winter on ESPN Radio. UAB wins it 24-20. Pistons guard Cade Cunningham had surgery today for a stress fracture in his leg. He'll miss the rest of the season.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
Live free for a year. Being a bit short on cash this upcoming year won't be a problem when ESPN Lincoln pays your rent or mortgage for all of 2023. Imagine what you'd do with all that extra money. To win, sign up daily at ESPNLincoln.com. Live free in 2023. Powered by Liberty First Credit Union and ESPN Lincoln.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Yo, Pablo Torre here, host of the ESPN Daily Podcast. When you want to go beyond your feed, when you want to get inside the score, when you want to get behind the highlight, there's ESPN Daily. Go deeper into the stories of the moment. Get the exclusive access and insider perspective that only ESPN can give you. ESPN Daily, hosted by me, Pablo Torre. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we'll take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. You can learn more about our battery selection at AutoZone.com. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
'Twas the night before approval, and I heard all through the city. I want a nicer, newer car, but my credit, oh, what a pity. I wanted a truck, mama, an SUV, but maybe a car'd be more practical. We'll see. There arose such a noise on my radio. I knew right then I had to go see Approved by Joe. He asked, have you been turned down before? Still making payments on that old sled? Worried about getting Scrooged? Come here instead. With very quick work and very little pain, I heard Approved by Joe call them by name. On Chris, on Josh, on Sam, Don, and Lorenzo, on Andrea, on Kendall, let's get these customers handled. When what to my wondering eyes did appear? With $5 down, a credit approval, my dear. Joe wants your trade, he'll pay more than anyone, and his team won't quit until they get your deal done. With our For the People credit approval process, bring us $5, bring us your trade, we'll take out the stress. I heard him exclaim as I had the store in sight, happy approvals to all, and to all a nicer, newer ride. I'm Joe Clemens, and I'm your dealer for the people. Come see us at Capital City Automax or online at ApprovedByJoe.com, ApprovedByJoe.com, www.ApprovedByJoe.com.
All terms subject to approval. Some minimum requirements. Ho, ho, ho.
Hey, everybody, it's Hooksy and Will from the Morning Hookup, reminding you about the first annual Morning Hookup Holiday Happy Hour.
It's going down this Saturday from 6 to 8 at Tavern on the Square, located at 816 P Street in the Haymarket.
Join us for drinks as we want to meet and get to know you. There will be giveaways, a chance for you to win tickets to see Journey at Pinnacle Bank Arena.
The Nebraska Ball K-State game will be on as well. We will see you this Saturday at Tavern on the Square with the Morning Hookup at ESPN Lincoln.
Dancing crew, trip for two, nailed the final interview. Game with Doug, brand new mug. Come here, kid, give me a hug. The more you want to do, the more we want to do. New COVID-19 boosters designed for recent Omicron variants are now available. Learn about eligibility and schedule a free updated booster today at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
At Progressive, you can get 24/7 protection, even if you break the space-time continuum.
Wait, every time you wake up is the same day? That's terrible.
Don't worry, I call Progressive. Their 24/7 protection still works even if my day does last forever.
Yeah, but don't you want it to end?
Are you kidding? I win lottery whenever I want and never regret anything. It's the best.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Progressive offers more than a great price when you bundle home and auto. We offer round-the-clock protection, which literally means anytime. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers, and subject to policy terms. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-66-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Thanks for hanging out into Hour 2. It's Hail Varsity Radio. We're presented by Currency for all your equipment financing needs. Go Currency, big recruiting weekend, and always thinking about football. The Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports Professor Bill Dolman with us. We want to say thanks to our friends at Pipeline Jerky for sending us some jerky, man. We've got the peppercorn beef. And we have the honey barbecue pork.
I tell you what, I'm excited for the honey barbecue pork jerky. I've never once tried pork jerky in my life. This will be a new experience for me. So I'm very excited for that. And honey barbecue, that sounds good.
It is. Dolman, you're a vet of many road trips. One time you even let me tag along Kansas City for Affiliates Day down to see the Royals. And you were if memory serves, a big beer nuts guy, and you like your share of jerky. How you doing, man?
You know, I was doing fine until I saw that cachet of jerky you got going on there. I've got the competitor back in the drawer behind me, but you know, I guess that's a hint. But no, I'm doing okay. I thought Connor might be in today. I think I'm just going to give him a nickname of Underscore, but I understand that he didn't want me to make fun of his Twitter handle. But I was looking over my class roster for one of my courses next semester, and I brought a red pen.
No,
just in case. Just in case. In fact, depending on Connor's behavior, I've got two of them. But anyway. I digress.
What you got to start doing is first week of next semester in syllabus week, you got to make sure like a get to know me type worksheet. And at the top of it is Twitter handle. And you're deducting grade points from the final grade based on how many underscores, 1 grade point per underscore.
Well, Connor,
did anybody ever heard?
Nice to see you again.
I never heard the word underscore until like 5 years ago. And I don't know why it's necessary, but I know you got one too. So.
Yeah, well, there's too many Schmidts in the world, so that's where I'm at with it. Bill, let's spend some time here on Matt Rhule and his tour this week. He's been to Pennsylvania, been to the state of Nebraska, clearly back in the state of Nebraska for a weekend visit, and some really good stories out about his philosophy. And the confidence he has in his ability to develop, but it's more of a profile and fit versus a reach for the stars type approach. And I know you were around Nebraska football when they had a fantastic mesh of blue chip where you're winning games, you're winning Big 8s, you're winning Big 12s, but also here's a walk-on named Keneally that turns into one of the best. So let's touch on that a minute here to start, just where things can go in a football program when you're kind of getting the best of both worlds.
You got to have the blue chip and you got to have the blue collar, and especially at Nebraska, because that's, part of the culture of the state. Look, everybody by now knows my thoughts on the whole recruiting thing. But what is impressive are the effort that he and his staff, that the staff that he has, the efforts that they have made to embrace the job, embrace the culture of Nebraska, and understand that you got to go far and wide and near to find the best players who are going to fit your program and fit the culture. So I applaud. I think everybody's applauding the efforts. And really, I kind of go back to the whole process. Nebraska had 76 days of a coaching search that was very intensely watched here, but it was also pretty intensely watched nationwide. Who's going to get the Nebraska job? Who's going to get the Nebraska job? It was, in terms of coaching searches, it was top of mind. So when Matt Rhule's name started to surface to the front the 2 weeks before he was hired, that gave people an opportunity to take it in, to digest it. Football people think, well, this could happen with Matt Rhule to Nebraska. And then when the hire was made, Nebraska did a great job of, getting out in front of all the headlines, and they had the news cycle to themselves on that Saturday. The national media, I said this before, the national media did Nebraska a great service because they talked about the hire, they talked about how great a fit it is, and all those national media people did Nebraska a service by saying this is a good hire. So now all of a sudden, prominent recruits who may not have committed someplace or those whose commitments were not all that binding got a chance to take a look at Nebraska and think, you know what, this is pretty good. This is not a shock hire by any stretch. People knew it was coming, and I think that really helped Matt Rhule and company. When they get into the living room, people knew what it was already all about.
Bill, what do you make of Matt Rhule's, I guess, updates the recruiting trail he's been putting on Twitter, where he'll just post a picture with no caption of whatever he's doing on the recruiting trail? And there was at one point him eating a West African dish. I believe it was pounded yam and agoosey. I could be pronouncing.
Looked okay.
It looked pretty good. And then you got him taking a picture of the Philadelphia Eagles stadium. You got him really just going everywhere and just taking pictures of where he is on the recruiting trail. What do you make of that? It's kind of twofold, where it keeps fans in the know, but it also lets the recruit know, like, man, the head coach is tweeting my high school, letting me know that he's here, letting all the Husker fans know he's here. What do you make of that approach?
He's savvy. He gets the generational play that you have to make. I'm sure if Nick Saban has to do anything like that, it's probably begrudgingly, but Matt Rhule is proving that he is of the generation that understands that you have to do the things that are going to connect with today's student athletes. I'm sure Lane Kiffin is that way. I'm sure, Deion's got people who are doing that for him out in Colorado now. But if you're not, if you've got to figure out how to do it, you're already behind. And I think Matt Rhule, during his time at Baylor, that's when, the social media aspect of recruiting really took off for him. But clearly he didn't lose his touch when he went to Carolina, and he said the last few months before taking the Nebraska job to figure out, this is what I got to do when we hit the ground running. And he's done that. So I applaud him, and it's given Nebraska fans confidence, I think, that he's committed to making all the rounds around the state of Nebraska to the high schools that may have been long forgotten by previous staffs, and then to see where he is there, to Pennsylvania or to Texas or whatever the case might be. I think people understand that they have a guy who was working very hard for them.
Bill Dolman with us, Hail Varsity Radio, at Bill Dolman, no underscores with that, at Bill Dolman on Twitter. And Bill, a thought from you. We talk about getting an athlete. You want a football player? Yes. You want a football player's mentality, to your blue-collar point. But you also need the blue chip aspect, that athleticism. And you can go get the guys that will be rough and tumble in the phone booth. And there's a lot of crossover between wrestlers and O-line or D-line play. And then you look, and as you branch out with some of the skill, Nebraska seems to have a guy that played football that's a speed demon, that triple jump or long jump, or they're 10-point something in the 100. So what's your experience been? What's your thought when you look back at Nebraska's success? Did they dive into the track aspect a lot, or was it more just kind of knowing what they see during evaluation, whether or not the kid had multiple sports under his belt?
I think that's always been very important in Nebraska athletics, not just football, but you always, I shouldn't say you always, I think most coaches like to have athletes that participate in different sports, aren't specialists. Terry Pettit built the volleyball program back in the late 70s and the 80s with track and field athletes around the Midwest and turned them into great volleyball players, which then, Nebraska's become the hotbed of volleyball and athletes who specialize. But I think most coaches really favor having athletes who have a variety of sports resumes, have a lot of sports on their resume. And when I got a kick out of this kid out of Texas, I'm not a big believer in recruiting services and they slap the stars on guys. This guy, I remember when Matt Rule got the commitment of this speedster out of Texas, was a grade 100 guy.
Bryce Turner.
He didn't have any stars, right? And all of a sudden he commits to Nebraska and he's a 3-star guy. Well, how did that happen? Because Matt Rule decides that he could be a great football player. So now all of a sudden these recruiting geniuses give him 3 stars. Coaches want to find people who are going to fit their system, both not just on the field, but off the field. And I'm sure that he's got an idea that this kid out of Texas and all the other ones that he's recruiting are going to be the kind of people that he's going to want to be around personally, as well as, develop them athletically. There's a character aspect to it as well. And you might have a 5-star guy and you get into the living room and it's just not a great fit personally. And it's not worth pursuing that. But you got a 3-star guy that has a great work ethic, may come from a farm, may come from a city. But if they want to work and they're high character people, that's probably more valuable over time than getting an impact 5-star.
Bill Dolman is with us here on Hail Varsity Radio. And you talk about impact 5 stars, Bill. And there's also impact 3 stars. This is kind of something we hit on yesterday. The fact that the 3-star to 5-star to 4-star to whatever the ranking is just kind of based on the tools a kid has, kind of like the NFL draft. And you can have impact 3 stars if you go find the right guys and you get the right tools for your system. And I want to pose the question to you: how many freshmen do you think Nebraska needs to have that are impact guys next year? Not necessarily starters, but that they see the field and they make an impact in some way, based on how the past couple of years have gone and how there's going to be some changing schemes this offseason. Realistically, how many freshmen do you think Nebraska needs to be getting on the field, making some sort of impact next year?
Well, I hope not very many. Nebraska last year had 151 guys on the roster, and 110 of 151 were in their first, second, or first 2.0 whatever season. Guys who were first, second, third year of college, and they were relying on those. And you think about Ernest Hausman, who I guess is going elsewhere, and that's his prerogative to do so. But think about how Ernest Hausman looked in that first game at Northwestern, right? I mean, he looked a little disillusioned, right? Granted, he's playing in Ireland, of all places, for his first college game. Now, he developed as the season went on, but he kind of disappeared there for about 4 or 5 games, right? I don't think Nebraska wants to be looking for people, even though this is a new regime. I don't think you want to be looking for impact freshmen as a priority. If somebody comes in and just dazzles you, then maybe you got to get them on the field. But you would hope that those guys who remain in the program, who don't jump into the transfer portal, and it seems like that's slowed down just a little bit. Now, it might happen again in spring. But you would hope that the guys who are in the program are seeing this as a new opportunity to get excited about playing for Matt Rule and his staff and a new philosophy, and that this is their chance to seize and to make a difference. That they're not worried about who's coming in this recruiting class and who's their guys and who are the other guys. I don't think it can be a priority for Nebraska to find that guy that you're going to try and be a focal point, whether they're a wide receiver from Lincoln or a defensive lineman from Texas.
Bill, and to kind of piggyback off the impact freshman, that's what's hurt Nebraska for too long and over a couple of different staffs, is that you threw guys in when they were young and weren't ready, and you asked them to carry too much weight. And Bill, your confidence level here, a couple of minutes left, when it comes to Rule knowing when the kid's ready to get more time. Hausman was All right, dude. Henrich bust up his hand. Get in there. that was it. It was a necessity, and it worked out okay for Nebraska with Ernest getting better as the year went on until he hits the portal. But Rhule and being able to get a kid ready and also communicate that now we think you're ready to get in there. That's the dance that has to go on here with the portal era.
I would think the Rhule is savvy enough, and we go back to the social media thing. I think he's probably savvy enough to know the personalities once he gets to know everybody in winter conditioning and spring ball to understand that a guy who was in the program last year or maybe in his going into his third year in the program, that they may be better off developing them for more immediacy and immediate need than to throw a true freshman in there. You know, you go back in time, Will Shields, Tommy Frazier, there's probably 4 or 5 true freshmen who had an immediate impact in the Nebraska football program. And I don't think any program, whether they're in the 90s or the 2020s, want to have to rely on true freshmen unless they're just absolutely a dominant player that earns the right. But even then, I don't think you want to throw them in there like Ernest Hausmann that very first game and say, you're the only one who can help us out here. If Matt Rhule is a developmental guy, he'll develop the depth that's already in the program and get those guys ready and serviceable. And if there's somebody who can play, he'll get them ready for when the time is when they are needed later on.
That's the question. How much depth is in the program? Bill,
although I do like the kicker. I think the kicker could have an impact pretty quick.
Bill's like, get the West Side kid the new Adidas and hustle him out there. Bill, we love checking in with you. We'll do this again before we sign off for the holiday season, the Christmas season, but always appreciate you. Thank you so much for spending time tonight.
All right, guys, go Big Red and Merry Christmas.
There we go. Bill Dolman with us. No underscore there, at Bill Dolman on Twitter. Bill, we'll see you soon. Appreciate your time, bud. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal. We'll get some thoughts on the recruiting weekend. Brady Oltman's on the way with Hail Varsity. We're presented by Currency.
If you're not already a Hail Varsity subscriber, what are you waiting for? Sign up for a Hail Varsity subscription to receive exclusive breaking news coverage of Nebraska football, volleyball, and more. Subscriptions include 10 print issues of the Hail Varsity magazine per year, the annual Hail Varsity football yearbook, plus complete access to everything on HailVarsity.com. Visit HailVarsity.com to sign up today and get your first month free.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
If you're not already a Hail Varsity subscriber, what are you waiting for? Sign up for a Hail Varsity subscription to receive exclusive breaking news coverage of Nebraska football, volleyball, and more. Subscriptions include 10 print issues of the Hail Varsity magazine per year, the annual Hail Varsity football yearbook, plus complete access to everything on HailVarsity.com. Visit HailVarsity.com to sign up today and get your first month free.
The holidays are here, and it's time to celebrate at Hail Varsity Club. Whether you're looking for an intimate business lunch or a 100-person holiday party, Hail Varsity Club offers an elevated experience with food and drink packages sure to please any crowd. There are only a few premium dates left in December. Visit HailVarsityClub.com to learn more about the private events and book yours now.
The next generation of ED wave therapy is now at Limitless Male. Limitless pulse-focused wave therapy has clinically proven results for men wanting to improve their relationships. ED can be caused by age, heart disease, diabetes, or medication, and it won't get better on its own. Our new non-surgical wave therapy can help stop and potentially reverse damage. Take the ED quiz at limitlessmale.com. Get help from the men's health experts.
Hello, neighbor. We know you've got holiday parties coming up, so make Super C your supply stop. Check out these specials. Miller Lite, 24-ounce, 2 for $4.50. Or Milwaukee's Best, 25-ounce cans, 2 for $2.25. And Miller Lite 15-pack cans, just $13.99. That's a great deal. Super C has your favorite seltzers, White Claw, Truly, or Quirk, whatever makes you fizzly. And remember to pick up ice for that gathering at Super C, where you'll always get more ice for the same low price. Super C, where they're always happy to see you.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Be sure to check out the podcast with Hail Varsity Radio, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, the whole show there for you. Also, our different segments. So you just want to hear from Brady Oltmans, you can do that. Bill Dolman, Jacob Padilla, just as an example. You can watch the entire show, comment on the Hail Varsity YouTube channel, or find us on Twitter at Schmidt_radio or at Herbal Essence. Brady Oltmans with this staff writer, HailVarsity.com and magazine at Brady Oltmans on Twitter. He has been your eyes and ears for Nebraska's recruiting weekend and also all the changes that have gone on with the Nebraska staff. Brady, thanks for spending time. Good to have you back in on a Friday. And you got to commit today for Nebraska with the talented kicker with Westside, and you have Ovano can just drill it, man. You need that in Big Ten games. As you look at the visitors list this weekend, either portal or high schooler, who's the number one get? I think it's top of the board when you combine both portal and high school prospect.
Well, you think it's funny that you mentioned Tristan, because I in my brain I was like, did he commit today? And that's how hectic of a weekend.
That's how you're running left to right to north to south. Yeah, I get
it. I would say I'm kind of caught. Ramir Stewart, the safety out of Philadelphia, is a big one. I think looking at his film, he's one I think that would really fit well and work at Nebraska. But the other one that really jumps out to me, portal-wise, is Chief Borders, the linebacker from Florida. He's got a great build, got a great drive and engine to him. He only really played on special teams this last year for Florida, but I mean, he's got that nose for the ball, and I think he's got that kind of that snarl to him, that he plays with a meanness and is ready to get after it. So I think those two guys are ones that jump off the page that we know for a fact are in Lincoln now. Obviously, somebody else could materialize out that they get in.
Okay, Brady, I spent last night watching some film on some of the guys that are going to be in town this weekend, and there's one guy, I mentioned him in hour one, so I apologize for resetting this kid all over again, but his film just was phenomenal to me. He's a linebacker, and he really reminded me almost like for like of Ernest Hausman, maybe even a little bit more athletic than Ernest Hausman was at this time last year. And it's Eric Fields out of Ardmore, Oklahoma. His dad is a former professional boxer who fought for a WBO belt. He is ridiculously fast, runs a 10-8 100-yard dash in a 200-plus pound frame, and he's flown really under the radar recruitment-wise. It looks like right now Arkansas State might be his number one school, and I just look at this guy, and I don't understand how he's not ranked. I don't understand how he doesn't have any stars behind his name. I don't understand how Nebraska could be lucking into something like this, but everything about this kid just screams he's a dude. 180 tackles his senior season while also starting at running back. Like, I just don't understand how this kid flies under the radar. Have you seen his film? What do you think of Fields in terms of gettability? It's like a guy that Nebraska could lock in this weekend.
Oh, I completely agree with you. He's a guy that if you get the chance to see him on film, he's going to pop out. I mean, he has athletic. He flows north and south as well as he does east and west. He can fill gaps and speed. And he strikes me as one of those guys that might be like the fellow commit Kerwin Ives, that he's, because I'm doing a story on him talking with his coach earlier this week, and he's another kid that kind of got unranked, didn't really have the stars, and coach told me, well, because he's doing track when other of these guys are doing camps and showcases and everything to get stars, he's dropping 27 points a game in basketball season and then running track too. The only times he's even in the gym are during the summers or during football season. We don't have him, just doing one sport the whole time. I wonder if that's kind of part of it. I don't know. It's one of those things that can happen when you're not at a prestige school or you don't have a guy specializing in one sport. But in terms of getting him, I think absolutely Nebraska has a play for him with this coaching staff and the way that if you can get a kid in for an official visit, I mean, last weekend showed that they can blow kids out, blow them out of the water, blow them away. Just get them in and they buy in right away. So I think that's definitely a possibility this weekend.
Well, I think that the best way to sum up this weekend, aside from some transfer portal guys, is that Matt Rhule said his opening press conference. When I was with the Panthers, I was seeing all these guys from little schools that were very, very good athletes. We're looking at drafting them in the second or third round. And my philosophy here is let's get those kids that are going to these little schools. Let's bring them to Nebraska and turn them into something special. And I think there's a few guys that fit that mold very well in this recruiting weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's to a T. It's the little guy, the overlooked, starred, under-evaluated, whatever it is, but a kid with a chip on a shoulder and a high ceiling for development. That's the Matt Rhule kind of guy.
Brady Oltmans joining us, HailVarsity.com and magazine at Brady Oltmans on Twitter is where you follow him. Recruiting weekend for Nebraska. And let's spend a minute on the trait part, as it'd be interesting to get either a physical look at this checklist or body type or match. And years ago, had a dear friend that was working on Saban's recruiting staff, was an analyst down there, and it was a giant binder of kind of the Bama Bible of recruiting. I'd love to have a closer look at what Matt Rhule follows and goes by. He's verbalized it, and clearly he's shown what he likes, and it's 10 point something in the 100 meter. Okay. So from a speed standpoint, you got to be fast to play for Matt Rhule. But just curious here from a mentality or a physical makeup, aside from speed, what are some of those match game traits that you think that, all right, tip of the tongue for a Matt Rhule when it comes to looking for a kid, and then obviously they've got to connect when they do meet?
One thing that really jumps out to you, aside from the speed, is just the frame. They don't have to be fully built out now, but they've got to have the body that says, we're going to get them into the proper nutrition regimen and the proper weight, collegiate weight regimen, get them in our collective, weights training system, and they can add 15, 20 pounds right away. And they're going to be able to still run fast. They're still going to be able to be quick to the ball and not be encumbered by all that added muscle mass on them. Outside of just the sheer, knock you off your feet kind of speed, that's what I see that they're going after and looking at all of these kids. I mean, they're outside of just their natural athletic gift of playing football. They've got that build that says that they're ready for development in a couple of years as well.
Brady, it hasn't seemed like a point of emphasis here this first recruiting cycle to go hit the JUCOs very hard. And I want to get your take on that. We saw a team that's just down the road in Iowa Western have a great performance against Hutch on Tuesday night. And it seems like there's a hotbed of talent both in Iowa and Kansas and JUCO, and that hasn't seemed to be a point of emphasis from this staff. Do you have a read on what this staff wants to do with junior college players?
Well, it seems so far they're certainly not shying away from JUCO guys. I mean, Kai Wallen from American River, the Eagles. They got him last week, and the last coaching staff and under Mickey Joseph's interim status is, kind of leading the recruiting charge. They did go after some JUCO guys, especially JUCO linemen. They saw offensive and defensive lines as a spot that needed immediate addressing. So they wanted to get guys in with that body mass and guys that can play right away. I just think that the way that Matt Rhule looks at things and the way that this coaching staff, I think, has a unified vision for development and those kind of underutilized guys, they would rather have a kid in for 4 or 5 years of development rather than go through, the JUCO route where you have less eligibility years. But that's obviously not to say that they aren't going to give a kid a look if they can fit right in, because clearly they do have eyes out on JUCO. I'm not exactly sure if they honored all of the offers that got offered to some of the Iowa Western and even Hutch guys that were involved in Tuesday's championship game. I know the previous staff had, I think, if I remember correctly, about 8 offers to different kids on the field at that game. But so far, none of them have committed to Nebraska, so we're not sure.
So would you say maybe the philosophy over the next year is make the best out of what you currently have on the roster, bring in some transfer portal guys to fill some gaps, while your main focus is in the wings, trying to develop some dudes that are going to be backups this year, getting some spot playing time, and those are going to be your guys moving forward that you build the roster upon? Do you think that's the kind of the philosophy that we're seeing here over the past couple weeks?
I think so. I think it's a lot of you get that young nucleus or that group, that core group at each position, and then as a collective group of a team, develop them, bridge out, and then if you can get a guy that you can do that for from the transfer portal for a short-term thing, get them in, fill a spot, and go with that to try to turn this thing around as fast as possible.
Brady, the Florida connection, how important is that for Nebraska moving forward? And your thought here on Philip Simpson, how he can help with that, did wonderful work down in Florida at the high school level.
Well, it's really fascinating to look at. I mean, I think when I asked about the coaching search stuff and talked to agents and I talked to anybody involved in that, they all said that your top hurdle that you're going to deal with is recruiting. Well, Matt Rhule, basically every single person he's got in has been a recruiting coordinator or a big-time recruiter at some level. Even Philip Simpson that they get in now, they've already offered a sophomore corner, at the high school that he was coaching at. And you kind of see it's mixed up by his experience at Texas. They've shown an ability to recruit Texas. They're going in Jersey, they're going Pennsylvania. Now they're in Florida, and they've got some offers in Michigan and all over the place. It shows that they're not afraid to spread their recruiting map as wide as possible. And they're not afraid to just go after it. I mean, Kai Wallen, again, is from California. They are going to be aggressive when it comes to recruiting, and they're just going to be aggressive when it comes to getting guys who can recruit. And if you want to get Nebraska back up to prominence, like he's talked about, that's what you got to do.
He's also very sensitive of the relationship build, Brady, in state. And he's taken not just token time in Nebraska, but he's really worked in state here.
Yeah,
done a nice job of balancing.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't speak enough about it. I think there's a concerted effort by the entire coaching staff and a unified vision to ensure that kids who grow up in Nebraska, they have the choice to either I want to go to Nebraska or I can go elsewhere, but it's going to be tough to turn down Nebraska. And even some of the guys that are committed elsewhere now, they again, to their point on aggression, they are going hard at flipping some of these kids. I mean, they are really trying to make a last push ahead of early signing day that says Nebraska's really going to be your best option under us now. We don't know what happened before, but we are going to be your new coaches, or we want to be.
Brady, 10 seconds. What's coming up from you and the new issue of Hail Varsity Magazine?
Well, I did a deep dive on Matt Rhule's background, a lot of the stuff, him growing up in New York and then State College and football and playing at Penn State, just to kind of get an idea of who he is as a person.
Can't wait for it. Can subscribe, hailvarsity.com/subscribe. Save $10. The print, the digital, GBR is your code. And great work from Brady. Follow him at Brady Oltmans for all the recruiting updates this weekend and beyond. Brady, we'll see you soon. Thanks for the time, man.
Appreciate you guys.
There he is.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom with People City Mission. We're Lincoln's homeless shelter, and this winter, the mission expects to house and feed over 80% of the city's homeless. Because when the weather gets cold out there, here's where people come to. But in this current economy, providing them with a warm bed and a hot meal, it's getting a lot harder to do. And we really need your help. So I'm asking you to please remember the homeless during this holiday season. Your support will really make a difference. Thanks so much, and God bless you.
'Tis the season to make a Husker fan smile. You do that with Alumni Hall and all their Husker goodies. Hey, it's Chris Schmidt, and I invite you to go check out Alumni Hall, both their locations in Lincoln, 1120 P Street in downtown Lincoln, or near Barnes & Noble out at South Point Pavilion. Alumni Hall is your ultimate Husker shopping experience, the best and largest selection of apparel for the whole family. That's Adidas, that's Champion, that's Columbia, plus gifts, accessories, and all the tailgate needs you want. UNL students, faculty, and military always receive 10% off in store, and you can also earn cash back with Hall Pass rewards. So quit messing around. Gifts are due under the tree soon. Get to Alumni Hall, 1120 P Street or South Point Pavilion, and get that Husker fan in your life what they really want. You can shop anytime by logging on alumnihall.com.
'Twas the night before approval, and I heard all through the city. I want a nicer, newer car, but my credit, oh, what a pity. I wanted a truck, mama, an SUV, but maybe a car would be more practical. We'll see. There arose such a noise on my radio. I knew right then I had to go see Approved by Joe. He asked, have you been turned down before? Still making payments on that old sled? Worried about getting Scrooged? Come here instead. With very quick work and very little pain, I heard Approved by Joe call them by name. On Chris, on Josh, on Sam, Don, and Lorenzo, on Andrea, on Kendall. Let's get these customers handled. When what to my wondering eyes did appear? With $5 down, a credit approval, my dear. Joe wants your trade, he'll pay more than anyone. And his team won't quit until they get your deal done. With our For the People credit approval process, bring us $5, bring us your trade, we'll take out the stress. I heard him exclaim as I had the store in sight. Happy approvals to all, and to all a nicer, newer ride. I'm Joe Clemens, and I'm your dealer for the people. Come see us at Capital City Automax or online at approvedbyjoe.com, approvedbyjoe.com, www.approvedbyjoe.com.
All terms subject to approval, some minimum requirements, ho, ho, ho.
Oh yes, Christmas time. Sleigh bells are ringing. Me, Cornelius, and the other nutcrackers are set up firmly on the mantle. And all over Lincoln, folks are saving a stocking full of cash on car wash memberships and bundle packs from Jet Splash Car Wash.
Is that right?
Yes, Cornelius. You could save up to $20 on 3-month memberships, $50 on 6 months, and $120 on annual memberships.
Wow.
By Cornelius, it is jaw-dropping. Shop online at jetsplash.com.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, it's Hail Varsity, presented by Currency. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal. Reminder, the weekend edition tomorrow morning, locally in Lincoln, ESPN Lincoln, 7 to 9 a.m. So if you're up making a coffee run, you're getting the kids to workouts, training, their job, or what have you, catch us or get the podcast of the weekend. Mr. Kranak will be ready to rock. Elijah is not allowed to leave the studio, especially during early signing period week. Bless his heart. And I'll be fighting off the German Shepherd. So pot roast, the Nebraska defensive line coach Terrence Knighton tweeting out a little bit earlier today around noon. Cinnamon rolls and chili with several question marks. And I know Alton Brown was here at the Lead Center in Lincoln last week, and the chef, from Food Network, is that where he was at?
Yeah.
I watched,
did you watch Good Eats back
Yeah,
then?
no, I watched his shows, yeah. I just didn't know what network. Sometimes they jump around to the Food Channel, Food Network, whatever. Anywho, you have Pot Roast said, is this a thing? And people freaked out over Alton doing it the wrong way.
Alton Brown dumped his chili on top of the cinnamon roll.
And
that's wrong.
And listen, I don't care how you eat it. If it is your thing, I know it's flexed on. I mean, Nebraska is known for a lot of things. Nebraska is known for amazing steaks. Nebraska is known for the best corn on the cob. Nebraska is known for being fabulous and the creator of the Reuben.
Yeah.
Nebraska is known for Runza. Nebraska is known for Kool-Aid. In the wrong parts of the state, Nebraska is known for meth.
I wasn't expecting that turn right there.
But cinnamon rolls and chili are, to keep the drug reference going, like crack to some people. They love it.
It's I think it's phenomenal. I disagree. I disagree that if anyone pours their chili on top of their cinnamon roll, I firmly disagree with how you are choosing to live your life.
Okay.
That is wrong. There should not be a bean or a piece of ground beef or what have you in your chili that comes into a bite of a cinnamon roll. That is wrong. The proper way to do it.
What if you're but you're unraveling the cinnamon roll that's on your bread plate, or your napkin, and then you're dipping into the chili.
You dip into the chili to get the sauce. You don't dip in to get like meat and beans.
You're not Frito scooping it.
No, this is not a
taco
scoop.
dip.
No, this is not a tortilla chip with salsa. This is a nice little, just a little dip to get a little essence of chili on your cinnamon roll, and it gives like a sweet bite with a little bit of that chili savoriness, the saltiness,
sweet and heat, or sweet and salty.
That's a good combo. Dumping it on top, wrong. If you want to have it each separately, I understand that you're not an adventurous person and you probably don't like having fun. That's okay. Some people are like
Here's
that.
my
You can
question.
have them each individually. That is also perfectly fine. The best way to do it, though, I will take this to my grave. More than half of my family disagrees with me on this. It's the dip. A slight little dip into the chili, a little dunk, if you will. That is the proper way to do chili and cinnamon rolls.
See, my wife will make chili a few times a year. Does not have enough spice to it, and it does not have enough ground beef to it. But I thank her for making it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still safe, I think, when I go home.
Well, I'll make you a batch of Elijah's famous chili sometime. I got a good old chili recipe.
You ate it for a week, and you said it was wonderful. And then we'll do the cinnamon rolls in the oven, and we'll have cinnamon rolls in chili. Do you judge how someone eats their chili as in what they put on their chili? Sour cream, cheese, extra onion, Tabasco. I mean, to me, you've got to have some sort of Berlin Wall up. If you're going to dip your cinnamon roll in your chili, it can't be with cheese and sour cream and chives and all of that, mucking it up.
That's where we disagree. Make the chili how you want it, how you like your chili, and then dip the cinnamon roll in. Just make the chili how you like it. You know how I like it?
I'm saying the garnish on the chili.
Throw whatever you want in there. I garnish mine with Fritos, cheese, sour cream, lettuce,
Fritos
and salsa.
Money. Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Make it like a walking taco type thing. Fritos, chili, cheese, lettuce, sour cream, and then if you're feeling adventurous, throw a little salsa in there, or sriracha.
You've been banned to East Germany with the lettuce take.
Okay, I'll that's fine. That's a Herbal family tradition. If you want to insult the Herbal family like that, you go ahead. Go ahead. I eat it like my father, who ate it like his father before him, like his father before him.
With lettuce?
Yes.
I think the Fritos on it are good. We're probably boring the hell out of people with chili talk. Forgive me, but now Prince.
Wait, can I quickly add one last thing on the chili talk here before we go to a more important and more relevant topic? A big secret. Not many people will tell you this. It really helps. I guess it's two. First off,
alcohol.
No, well, there a good little shot of whiskey in there is solid, but a little bit of anchovy paste. It sounds wrong, but it's just what it is it's like salt in a paste, and what it has is it has monosodium glutamate, MSG. People have a scare campaign against MSG. It tastes better, and the adverse effects are the exact same as salt. If you use MSG in high quantities, it's the same side effects and effects of salt. So I will say either a little MSG, a little anchovy paste, it really is going to help your chili out at home.
Here, we got to pull Vogel tomorrow on his chili. Mm-hmm. His chili, Vogue's is like scratch good with his chili sauce or making a barbecue sauce even. And then Cranack has his name up on O Street.
I've heard his is good.
3 times, and it's not the normal name you see on O Street on some bathroom wall. Okay. This is like chili champion of O Street 3 years running during his undergraduate years.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to talk to him about the lettuce part. Fred Hoiberg was not asked about chili today, but he was asked about his basketball team and how they processed a torrid week against 3 ranked teams, 2 in the top 5. And getting ready for K-State.
Team's doing well. They obviously had a very important week with finals, and it's always a very unique time in our schedule in this business. When you have finals week, you have a couple guys that really have to finish strong in that area. Our guys, for the most part, did a great job all semester putting themselves in a good position. But there's always a couple guys that really have to do a great job finishing and cramming and staying, having long hours over with the tutors. But looks like our guys have done a really good job, and we won't have any issues heading into the next semester. It's an emotional time as well, especially when you came off of last week, and then you have the lull of a week without playing games. And now we got to get back into that competitive spirit. We try to have good, hard, competitive practices, but nothing compares to that game type action. And, really, we haven't played a team like this in a long time that has this type of length across the board and athleticism. They're really good on the offensive glass, and we have to get back and we have to get our defense set. Probably pretty similar to Creighton as far as getting back and getting them into a half court, by maybe sacrificing a little bit on the offensive glass. But, again, it's a great opportunity for us, again, playing against another Power 5 team, Power 5 league in a great venue, and an important stretch for us heading into the break.
Let's squeeze in Keisei Tominaga from Fred if we can, and just what he's doing so well right now.
I think we might be out of time.
Ay, caramba.
Those hard breaks will get you every time.
They do, but that's okay. We'll hear a couple of last thoughts from Fred Hoiberg. Friday edition of Hail Varsity Radio podcast is available. You are invited to partake in that. Subscribe does not cost you anything, and you can watch and comment. Follow on Hail Varsity Radio's Twitter as well as at HVarsity Radio, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, where you can access the podcast download as well. We'll wind down a Friday. Hail Varsity continues, presented by Currency.
At Lowe's, every pro is an MVP to us. That's why MVP's Pro Rewards members can earn bonus points on select products and brands like Power Pro, Weha, and Valspar. Then redeem your bonus points for exciting rewards like tools, sports memorabilia, Lowe's e-gift cards, and more. Join Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards today to start earning. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Subject to program terms. While supplies last. Points expire at end of calendar year. Visit Lowes.com/L/pro loyalty terms for details. Now through 1/8/23.
Have you been naughty or nice this year? Cash don't care. At Jackson Hewitt, you could still get up to $4,500 for the holidays. Some bucks now, more bucks in January. So be naughty. Snap up all the ginger snaps. Wear a pretty sweater to an ugly sweater holiday party. You could still get up to $4,500 when you go to Jackson Hewitt today. Details at jacksonhewitt.com. Eligible clients can get up to $1,000 in December and up to $3,500 in January. Loans by Republic Bank and Trust Company. Finance charge may apply.
At CDW, we get the importance of clear communication.
I was on a conference call, and I think my boss asked me to send her roasted beets in a can.
Talk to the experts at CDW. Using Poly headsets and cameras, they'll orchestrate a collaboration solution that lets you hear and see clearly on any device, any meeting platform.
Huh. Looks like she asked me to send her the report sheets when I can. You like beets?
No. IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Learn more at cdw.com/poly.
Live, local, in our community. The ESPN Lincoln Sportscasters Club has long been a supporter of young athletes and academics in Lincoln and Lancaster County. Follow your favorite team on air and online. Powered by Bob and Jan Fitzsimmons and Leach Camper Sales. Stay connected to Lincoln and Lancaster County High School athletics with ESPN Lincoln. 101.5 FM, 1480 AM.
The great thing about your phone or tablet is having information right at your fingertips. Who's that guy in the movie? Where's the best deal? Stuff like that. Of course, for insurance, you can't beat your Battle Creek Mutual Independent Agent and the new Battle Creek mobile app. Carry electronic proof of insurance, review policy info, pay your bill, or connect with your agent. And it's ready to help if you have an accident. Download the app for your device at bcmutual.com. Battle Creek Mutual Insurance. Better together.
I'm weatherology meteorologist Ray Miller with your Capital City forecast. Cloudy tonight, 15 for the low temperature. Winds out of the northwest at 15 to 30 miles an hour. Saturday brings lots of sun, a high of 28 degrees with northwesterly winds at 10 to 20. That's the forecast on Lincoln's ESPN. Right now, it's 23.
Better skin, softer hair, cleaner clothes. A water softener from John Henry's can give your home a lot of added benefits.
John Henry's Plumbing, heating and air.
Miss us?
Come here, brother. Give me a hug. Bring it in for the real thing.
We're on call for you. Catch the podcast at hailvarsity.com, the ESPN Lincoln app, or download them on iTunes.
Saddle up, partner.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Winding down a Friday, it's Hail Varsity Radio presented by Currency. For all your equipment financing needs, go Currency. Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbal. Reminder to get buckled up this holiday season. Using your seatbelt saves lives, prevents injuries only if properly worn. Buckle up. A message from the Nebraska Department of Highway Safety Office. So the thing that's happened this year with this Nebraska basketball team is they have rarely had it hit and click on all cylinders. They've either been without one of their stars or both of their stars in Walker or Sam. And when they've had them, it's looked pretty good. The other night, as Nebraska fought and fought overtime with Purdue. Wilcher had a tough night. Still busted his butt defensively, didn't let it affect him on the defensive side of the court. But think about getting him in that magnitude of game where he's able to hit shots. So he was off offensively. Tominaga came in off the bench and really sparked. So there's some games guys will disappear, but there's someone else who steps up. Nebraska will need that tomorrow. And from a turnover standpoint, that's going to be your key tomorrow. But what kind of performance and consistency do you get from Keisei? Does he come off the bench tomorrow and stay hot from three? Fred was asked a little bit earlier today, Fred Hoiberg, about Tominaga and his impact.
He's finding his spots, and I think he's really improved as a cutter, and he's very random in his movements, which is hard to prepare for, but he's really figured out, and he's really playing off of Derek well. And he knows if he cuts hard, cuts with force, cuts with pace, that Derek a lot of times will find him, and Griesel will find him on those cuts and slashes. And then just the confidence he's playing with right now, those threes he hit in the Purdue game to get us back into it. I think the second one got it back to a 4-point game, and just, the atmosphere in there when Keisei's hitting shots like that is off the charts, and it's fun to see. He's got such an infectious personality. He plays the game with such joy and passion, and it's been good to see his hard work, pay off this year and be rewarded for everything that he's done. But, I think when you look back over Keisei's last year, he's used to the speed of it. He came in, I think it's a huge adjustment for everybody. But what he has been able to do after a great summer on his national team and build confidence that way against some of the best players in the world is certainly carrying over to his confidence that he's playing with right now.
That's the name of the game. And he always plays with a bit of a flair. And there's either Team Tominaga or Team Wear Out, all right, with some of his antics. And if he keeps hitting threes against teams like Purdue, he'll sway that scale decidedly in his favor because he's been producing.
Well, he's a spark plug. Think about it, like the spark plugs in your car, whenever they're working, it provides some energy, and you really need it within that engine to make things go. But whenever your spark plugs aren't working, you're going to be mad, very, very mad. It's a real pain in the ass to get those things changed out. Spark plug goes bad, you're going to have some issues. But as long as the spark plug's working, that's what he is with this basketball team. Is he comes in, he knocks down a shot, fires up the crowd, gets some momentum behind this team, and then goes and sits on the bench and cheers on his team, provides energy from there. That's what he is within this team dynamic. It's just
he's a bit of a pest. He's a bit of a pest, and that's in a good way.
He brings energy in all three areas.
You love him if he's on
offensively,
your team.
Defensively, and from that bench mob standpoint, he's got energy in all three.
-3 is the number K-State's favored. We'll talk more tomorrow, 7 a.m. with the weekend edition. Take care.
This is Jim Rome with your Rome